Strap on your tampon. It's that time of the month on the Nothing Important podcast.
Because you know I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, bass, Bruce. Yeah, it's pretty clear, I ain't no size 2, but I can shake it like I'm supposed to do. Cause I got that boom boom that all the boys chase. All the right junk in all the right places. I see that magazine, working that Photoshop. We know that shit ain't real, come on now make it stop. If you got beauty, just raise them up. Cause every interview is perfect from the bottom to the top. Now my mama, she told me don't worry about your size. She said boys like a little more booty to hold it nice. No, I won't be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll. So if that's what you're into, then go ahead and move along. Because you know I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass. I'm bringing booty back. I'm here to tell you skinny bitches that. Nah, I'm just playing if you think you're fat. I'm here to tell you every interview is perfect from the bottom to the top. Now my mama, she told me don't worry about your size. She says boys like a little more booty to hold at night. You know I won't be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll. So if that's what you're into, then go ahead and move along. Because you know I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass. Because I'm all about that bass, no treble. I'm all about that bass, some treble. I'm all about that bass, at least a handful of treble. I'm all about that bass. Hey Dave, before we get started, I just want to say congratulations to Rich and Scotch. Their book, First Base and Beyond, they were on our show with porn stars Rebecca Love and Jocelyn Stone. And the book that they were trying to fund on Kickstarter met its funding literally an hour ago.
That's awesome, because those were good guys, and that was a really, really fun time, and I'm really glad they got it funded, because it does kind of sound retarded at first, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good coffee table book or a bathroom read.
Absolutely. So, guys, go back a couple episodes, listen to it. You can't miss it. It's called The Podcast Gangbang. That's what we named the episode. Dave, bring in the singers.
You're listening to Nothing Important. Please enjoy the show.
That's great. That works.
Turning into the Nothing Important podcast. Insert witty tagline here. I'm Brian, and with me this evening is Dave. Dave, how's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Hanging in there.
It's like late, right? It's like almost 11 o'clock at night. That's late for us old fucks.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Sometimes it's late for me. Sometimes it's not. As an engineer, I tend to run late sessions. In fact, I have a client arriving soon.
That's funny. So are you going to be on the podcast when he walks through the door?
I hope so. I really hope so. But he might call me when he's outside. I might have to go let him in.
It'd be hilarious if you told him to quiet down because you're recording a podcast.
I should do that. Just big time him. Excuse me, dude.
But he'd be like dude, I'm paying for this. Like, yeah. Shh.
And I'd be like, the clock starts when I say the clock starts. Okay, you'll get your money's worth.
Right. Fucking A, man. So what's new, guy?
Well, everybody knows that I'm a Cubs fan. Most people know that I'm a Cubs fan. So I decided to go to the Sox game on Sunday.
Nice. Nice. On a side note, the Cubs actually are not sucking as bad as they typically do.
Oh, yes. And the irony is the Cubs threw a no-hitter that night, and I was at the Sox game.
Well, but that's probably their good luck charm. Their good luck charm is you not being anywhere near the Cubs.
Hey, I haven't seen a game yet this year, and they've won a lot of them.
Right? See? And you weren't even watching on TV or listening on the radio, and what happened? Dude throws a fucking no-hitter.
Actually, I was listening to the no-hitter for about 5 minutes on my way home. And I didn't realize it was a no-hitter. It was like the fourth inning. I just thought it was a shutout. So I was like, okay, normal game, turn my car off, go inside. I walk inside, and I'm like, hey, maybe I should turn on the Cubs game, check and see if they're still shutting them out. Decided not to even bother with that. Started mixing up some audio or whatever. And next day, I find out that they threw a no-hitter.
Well, that's why they won, man. It's because you had nothing to do with them.
But funny story about my Sox game experience.
Yeah.
So I actually met some friends that are from out of town, or they're from town visiting, whatever. Haven't seen them in a while, so Sox fans. So I'm like, okay, let's go to I love baseball, so I'll go see the game. And we left a little early. The game went into extra innings. And we left a little early, and we catch a cab because we're going to go meet some other people somewhere else in the city of Chicago.
Okay.
So I hop in the cab, and as a joke, I just say, I don't know, this guy looks kind of sketchy. But we get in, and I start talking to...
You said the cab guy looks kind of sketchy?
Yeah, I was just messing around.
Well, he probably did, though. He's a fucking cabbie. there's a reason why...
He was much, much older than us, and probably Dominican, I think. Some sort of Caribbean accent. Little white fro.
Right, okay. Yeah,
and,
okay, gotcha.
So, we hop in. There's three of us. So I'm one in the front seat, two in the back. So me and the guy in the back are talking, and I start talking about Uber a little bit. And he had made a comment about how he doesn't like Uber. So he's talking, I don't like Uber. Uber undercuts people.
Why? Who doesn't like Uber? The taxi driver?
No, the guy that was in the back seat with me.
Why the fuck? Who the fuck hates Uber?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's just like, he thinks they're undercutting. He thinks it's putting taxi drivers out of business and this and that. And I was just like,
taxi drivers can use Uber.
How are you going to fault a company for having a better business model?
Right.
And
hey, man.
From what I know, Uber there's a lot of accountability with Uber because it's immediate reaction and commenting and rating and all that stuff. So they're very conscious of how they treat their patrons. Right. So almost in the middle of this conversation, I think the conversation was over, but we had the Sox game on the radio because it was extra innings. We wanted to hear how it ended. Dude shuts off the Sox game to answer the telephone, makes two wrong turns, gets off the phone, turn the Sox game back on, and it's over.
Oh, wait, the cabbie did that?
Yes.
So
I flat out I waited till after he hung up the phone, and I said to the guy in the front seat, I said, do not tip this cab driver.
Right, yeah, fuck that guy.
Tipped him $2. See, and I turned to my friend in the back, and I was like, do you understand why I like Uber better now? And he's like, yeah. Like, they were dropping me off at Union Station to catch the train. And they got out of the cab with me. They had more to go, but they were so mad. They're just like, we're getting out of the cab and we're finding a different one. And I was like, call an Uber, dude.
Right. No, see, Uber. See, the thing about Uber is like you said, there's so much like personal accountability on it. I think that's why they're not assholes. Plus, you're using your own car, so you actually give a fuck about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that cab stunk too. It was run down and just nasty.
See, now there's several different kinds of Uber. There's like Uber black car, like Uber electric car, like ostrich
Uber
carriage
tournament edition.
Uber tournament edition.
Come in.
You could put in like BC 1998, and Bill Clinton will drive you around.
Hey, hold. I'm sorry, I gotta stop you 1 second. There's a knock at the door. I'll be right back. Hey, what's up, man? I'm actually recording a podcast right now with a friend of mine. Yes, sir, right here. So if it's cool, hang out for a few. You're just gonna hear me talking to myself.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. I'll probably leave this on the podcast. You want to grab a microphone?
Get off work, man. I'm a little busy. We just opened up.
Oh, nice. All right, take a minute, relax, listen to me talk to myself for a while. You still there, Brian?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so absolutely my client showed up while we were recording.
So yeah, but the thing about like Uber, people who are against Uber because it puts taxi people out of business, supposedly. One, there's Uber taxi. You know what I mean? There are several different kinds of Uber, like several different levels. There's like Uber black car where they come in like a really nice like Escalade or Denali. That's like all tinted out and shit. You know, like
yeah, like super high standards, and it's
right.
got
And then there's like. Yeah. There's like Uber tree fucker where it's like all Priuses and shit like that. And then there's like Uber regular guy with a sedan and then like Uber taxi. You know what I mean? So like you can still get the shitty, like if you really want, that's the beauty of Uber. It puts so many choices at your hand. If you want the shitty taxi cab experience, like,
you can still get the shitty taxi cab
you
experience.
can still get the shitty taxi cab experience. But people that are like, oh, I don't like Uber because it puts taxi cabs out of business. Those are the same kind of assholes that like 40 years ago would be like, man, I don't know about this colored TV. Like, putting a lot of black and white TV makers out of business. I don't know. Like,
I know. Like,
what is this? A mobile phone in your car? Like, it's just going to put a lot of landlines out of fucking business. Like, come on, dude.
Well, I mean, do you shop at Walmart, dude? I mean, they have the better business model. They're more successful. Don't fault them for getting their money, you know?
Right. Okay. You know what the beauty about shit is that people always like look at shit and then think of better ways to make that shit better.
Right. That's the way.
Like,
that's how innovation happens.
Right. Yeah. And I'm guessing this friend is probably a relative age.
He is exactly my age.
Well, even if it doesn't fucking matter because even if he wasn't.
No, like, I mean like to the day. Like he was born the same day that I was born.
Right. Well, but like even if he's not like a relative age, like we would literally have nothing that we have now if like people before us didn't think to make that shit better.
Well, yeah, that's how progress happens is you stack innovations on top of each other. I mean, I own a computer, but I can't build a motherboard.
Right. Or you just put a fucking clock in it. Like whatever it is, you just put a clock in it.
You take something that already exists and put a clock in it.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't get that fucking mentality at all. You know, and then you got to look at like, you know, you got to look at other like genius inventions that are now possible because of the technologies and stuff we have. You know, like Uber.
Yeah, like time machines and hoverboards and shit.
Fucking hoverboards. But I was thinking more along the lines, you know, like Uber uses, you know, it wouldn't be anything. There'd be like no like landline Uber. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's like, telecab.
Well, I guess it would be, but like one of the beauties about Uber is like you can actually watch on the GPS as the cab come towards you.
Right.
But otherwise, you'd have to hang on to the phone, and they just be like, "All right, they're turning left on Main Street."
Well, that's what I meant by that's telecab because you would make the call, and then they get there when they get there, or they'll call that number when they get there or something.
Right.
But
you know what I saw today is that Domino's Pizza actually has you can order pizza with an emoji.
So basically, the English language is turning into hieroglyphics.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, modern day hieroglyphics. But that'd be awesome if you could order like all sorts of other shit, like with like emojis, like cigarettes or like like
I would just like text a little camel,
right?
A little cowboy from Marlboro's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You can get your liquor, like you can have like a car jack for Jack Daniels.
Yeah, right on, man. Oh, yeah. So another thing I want to go back to, though, on this episode, we have Chris Blinston from Ink Master.
The Mario-looking motherfucker himself.
Yeah! That's what I really... That's why I was so happy that like he agreed to talk to us because that entire thing, that entire setup started because I was talking shit about Ink Master. Because my wife loves the show, you know, and like tattoo artists, especially at that level, like as much as those guys have some real fucking talent.
They're goddamn works of art. Yeah, they're like, true artists. Even
Dave Navarro, like I don't know why he's a tattoo expert, but like
because he has a lot of them.
Yeah, like, but so do I, and I don't have a fucking TV show.
You don't have Dave Navarro level tattoos, my friend.
No, that's true. But you know what I mean? Like, even when he's like, that tattoo fucking sucks. You know, like I'll look at him and be like, what is he talking about, dude? That tattoo is amazing. Like, I'd get that tattoo. But so I was watching it because I mean that is kind of like cool, like the tattoos and such, and my wife, you know, like is in love with it, and you pick your favorite characters and shit. And I just started like talking about that dude. I'm like, why is that guy dressed like Mario? Like every fucking scene, he's in a pair of overalls and a red shirt. And what makes it better is like I don't even know the guy's name, but there's like a little squirrely guy with like a Luigi mustache. So it's like the Mario Brothers are competing on Ink Master. But you know, I've talked about it several times where I have like weird little hangups that will like ruin shows and movies for me.
Yes.
Like it's like music videos back when that was still a fucking thing. Like anytime somebody looked at the camera like innocent yet sultry, like and like gazed
over their shoulder out of the corner of their eye.
Yeah, or they're just like looking straight ahead and then just like turn to the left. And like open their eyes really wide and look at the camera, like that would ruin a music video for me because it was so corny and stupid, you know?
And so deep and introspective.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. Trying to look deep and introspective. And you know, Ink Master has the opening where, you know, the theme this year is masters versus apprentices. Apprentices.
I think it's pronounced apprenti.
Apprenti, yes, if we're using the Greek. the Greek.
It's masti and apprenti.
Yes, if you will. So it's Masti versus Apprenti. And, you know, and so what they do, like, during the shitty, like, guitar music, it's like, wow. Like,
hey, man,
like,
don't talk shit about the guitar music. That's probably Dave Navarro's.
Okay, well, shitty Dave Navarro guitar music. Like, remember we were talking about NBA Jam before we were recording?
Yeah, tournament edition, dude.
Right, okay, so, like, remember, like, the shitty, like, weird ambient music in NBA Jam?
Yeah, just that little chugging riff in the background.
Yeah, dude, that is now that I think about it, that is exactly the opening in Ink Master. Like that is
just stole the NBA Jam intro music for their TV
right.
show.
Dave Navarro remixed NBA Jam to make the theme song to Ink Master. So anyway,
he's on fire.
Yeah. so each of the Masti and the apprentices, like they do that stupid thing where like they walk towards each other like badasses, and then for whatever reason they like turn towards the camera and cross their arms with a smirk on their face.
Yeah, they stole that shit from Pawn Stars.
They stole that shit from every fucking thing ever. and it's not like
I'm pretty sure that was in Rocky IV.
Right. But it's not like it's like the most badass looking dude does that or like the most like smart alecky chick on the show does that. It's literally like 20 people. So like 10 groups of 2 all walk in and then like turns towards the camera and like fold their arms and smirk. So I'm like, you know, I'm on Twitter because apparently we have Twitter followers now. And I'm just like, apparently according to Ink Master, crossing your arms means badass. And then we were sitting there watching, we made the Mario comment, and then Chris Blinston's Twitter came up, and I was like, I like Chris Blinston because he dresses like Mario. And then like within like 30 seconds, he retweeted that. And I was laughing to my wife. I'm like, oh, this guy must have a good sense of humor because he retweeted the Mario comment. And my wife was like, you should try to get him on the show. And like literally within 5 minutes, he agreed to be on the show.
What I find amazing about that story is you're the first person to make that comment, right? Are you the first person to make that comment, at least on Twitter?
Yeah, that he dresses like Mario. As far as I know, I was.
Oh, I'm deleting that then. Okay.
But he's like one of the most popular people, and I think it's because of his...
I mean, you figure just with today's, you know, this day and age that somebody would have already tweeted that.
Right, yeah.
But I guess you're really that clever, Brian.
Yeah. But he was an incredibly awesome dude. Just a really good guy, a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was.
And
seriously, check out his website because he's got a cool backstory too. Like he volunteers and he's a serviceman. He served our country. He serves his community. And he just seems like a real genuine dude with a lot of talent and just kind of looks intimidating as fuck.
Yeah, and I won't ruin it during this segment of the show, but I absolutely loved his story of the overalls.
Yes, and I'm surprised you never mentioned your kindred spirits because you used to perform in overalls back in the day.
Yeah, I know. I forget about those days all the time. That's why I still hang out with you, is because you always remind me of something ridiculous that happened that I forgot years and years ago.
That's because I live my life vicariously through you. You do everything, and I just remember it to tell people. Well, I hope everybody listening enjoys our chat with Chris Blinston from Ink Master. Be sure to watch that on Spike every Tuesday. Let's cheer Chris on because he's like our boy now. He's like our fucking boy. Good people.
Good
he's
person.
Part of the Nothing Important podcast collective.
Exactly, and we wish them nothing but the best. So. I think we're going to do Book of Things Dave Doesn't Care About and then enjoy our chat with Chris Blinston.
And now an excerpt from the Book of Things Dave Doesn't Care About.
Your fantasy football team. But I'll still sit and talk about mine because, it's fantasy football.
This was an excerpt from the Book of Things Dave Doesn't Care About.
You're listening to Nothing Important.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the Someone Important hotline, it is Ink Master contestant Chris Blinston. Chris, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing awesome. Glad to have you on the show. First, I got to apologize. It's 9 o'clock our time and 10 o'clock your time. And we're so used to talking to people on the West Coast that it's usually 7 o'clock for them. And even though I lived in Florida for 7 years, for some reason, up until you direct messaged me today on Twitter, I forgot about the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, awesome. Well, first off, obviously we don't know how things are going to end up, but I've been watching the show, and up until this point, congratulations on your success so far.
Thank you, guys, man. Yeah, it's a crazy road doing this show. The filming takes a lot of time. It's an all-day process over multiple days, and it's a matter of deciding what kind of role you want to play on the show. Are you going to be strategic? Are you going to kick some ass? Are you going to just get out there and just have a good time? It just depends on what you want to be. And I chose to go on there and kind of play off the military role that I am, and just be strategic and win. So.
Well, that's awesome. I hope you keep doing well. And that kind of brings up one question I wanted to ask you is, because you can't say anything until the finale and all that is over, but how many times a day do you get asked if you won or not?
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you, at the beginning of the series, it wasn't so crazy. I would be able to go out to the public and go to the mall or whatever like that, and nobody recognized me at all. But after that St. Mark episode, and which apparently seemed to get a lot of viewers, I pretty much get recognized everywhere I go. So they got two questions for me. The one big one is the overalls. What's up with the overalls? And that's always a funny story. Yeah. So,
well,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, actually, that's kind of how we contacted each other, because my wife and I were watching it, and a lot of the episodes you're wearing the overalls with a red shirt. And I was telling my wife, I'm like, I like that guy because he dresses like Mario, because I'm a huge Nintendo fan. And then I tweeted that, and you retweeted it, and I'm like, man, what a cool dude. Like, he didn't take that as insulting. I'm totally going to try to get him on the show. And here we are. So now you piqued my interest. What's with the overalls, dude?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal with the overalls. We got up there, and they kind of tell you to bring, some clothes you might want to wear on the show. And so I was digging through my closet and bringing stuff. And as you know, tattoo artists are typically all the same. Black T-shirts, jeans, that's kind of what we all wear.
Right.
So I brought a pile like that, and I had a pair of overalls back from the 90s that I used to wear back when they were in style. So I threw those in the suitcase, and as we went through the old, all the outfits, as soon as I put on those overalls and that first shirt, the red one, the tight one, they sent that picture up to Spike, and bam, it was instantaneous. the check mark come back and said that's his look for the whole show. Silly me, I didn't realize that that was your for the whole time that you would always be in overalls. I kind of thought that they would revolve you around a little bit, but that was it. Now the funny part of those overalls is I'm from Nebraska originally. I'm a Cornhusker, and that's a Herbie Husker thing. That's where the overalls originally kind of came from. But the funny thing on the show was that not knowing how far you get, and I only bought one pair of overalls, they didn't buy me another pair for a couple of weeks. So by the end of that, probably about the third episode, I'd been wearing those same overalls for 12 different filmings, and I was just probably the smelliest guy on the planet. Until the producer probably said, all right, get this poor guy another pair of overalls.
So that's awesome. So it was completely unintentional, but now you have a brand. You should make your own brand overalls.
Yeah, exactly. Funny enough, I got called by a manufacturer of them just 4 days ago, and they're trying to talk to me about doing a pair of overalls, which I think would be amazing to have that happen if it does go through. So it's definitely been a neat ride on the overall thing. So,
well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it definitely does give you a distinct look, and also, as you said, you're a military guy, and you're kind of like a big dude, kind of like myself, like this kind of big and stocky, and so it's always fun to watch you in contrast to the other contestants who tend to be like either like like chubby dudes or like super skinny dude, and you're definitely probably one of the more imposing people on the contestant list this year.
Oh yeah, I've always been into kind of working out and all that, and then knowing that I was going on the show, I definitely hit the gym for about 60 days prior to. I wanted to be as scary as I could be on that show, just for that exact, that whole scary factor. It's always a neat thing to get on there because you don't know who's going to be there for the most part. When you walk out and meet everybody for the first time, that is the first time you actually meet them, and you end up knowing about half of the people. But there's definitely a clear-cut case where some of the guys come up and say, "I'm not screwing with this guy," and and strategically, that's a good thing.
Right. Absolutely. So you said it's the first time. Did you know any? Like, I know it was the first time you meet them, but did you know of any of the other contestants when you finally got to meet them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's some. Of course, Tyler, my apprentice on the show, I've been a good friend for about 10 years. But here's a good insider for you. St. Mark, the guy that I actually knock off, he's actually been a friend for 15 years. I actually studied under him back in the early 2000s. So the emotional side of me stepping down that episode was more geared towards me stepping down against the guy that's been like a mentor to me for many years, and I was going to try to take him out. So the emotion wasn't so much in the moment, but more in the moment of what I'm about to do. So he's a good friend of mine.
Wow, man! How come they didn't play that angle? Because if the whole theme this year is Masters versus the Apprentice, and you were at one time his apprentice, I can't believe they didn't play that up.
Yeah, I don't know. They chose the role that they chose. So I guess it's because they got to keep the Master Apprentices that they chose together, solid like that. And then on the show, there was other guys too. You guys aren't aware, but that guy Matt Val, MV, who was the guy I put out on the third episode, I didn't know him before, but his reputation and his work, he's one of the best tattoo artists in the world. He just couldn't get his game going on that show, and I knocked him off before he ever got going. But he was definitely a target because you don't want that guy in the finale with you. He's just really, really good. Same thing with Miami Burgess. He couldn't get himself going either, and he's a fantastic artist for 20 years. So.
See, that intrigues me too, the whole competition side of it, because it's definitely a showcase. And was that your goal from the get-go, was to try to take out the stronger contestants to pave a path for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. At nighttime when you're done filming, which goes on for about 15 hours a day, about 10 or 11 o'clock at night is when you finally wrap it up and you get your cell phone back and you can maybe, call home or, just chill out for a little bit. There's alcohol available. Some of the guys will have a few drinks or party or maybe, do some drawing and hanging out. I chose not to do any of the partying or drinking or anything. I chose to kind of hang out, talk to some people, and then I would start looking up the people that I didn't know who they were, so I could find out what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were, and then start kind of making a strategy of what to go after. The way I saw it was, I knew I was going to be gone for a while, and I just felt like I would be leaving my family and my girlfriend and my 3 kids for no reason if I was going to go up there and just have a great time and not actually go there and try to win the title and try to win the $100,000.
That's awesome, man. And essentially that's what it is, a competition. That's good to hear, because a lot of people are cynical nowadays about these types of shows and these types of competitions, and it's good to hear that somebody on them is actually coming to win and not really trying. Like, obviously the exposure's there. You want the publicity, and you want to get your name out there to people who had no idea who you were before. But it's good to hear that it's like a for real. Like no, I'm coming to win this. Like if you were stepping into a football game, you're like, no, I'm coming to win this. It's great to hear that was your mentality going in.
Absolutely. And it's going to come out too, in some parts have already gone that they didn't really use parts of it. But like all of Team Florida, which is me and Tyler, Dave Clark, and Earl Noble, and then obviously Marissa when she started dating Tyler, we all became Team Florida, even though they're not really playing that angle. There's a point in there where one way or another, you've got to knock your own guy off, either by somebody else knocking them off or by you actually having to knock them off. And it's a sad fact, but there's no real friends there in the competition part. Just when the filming's done, then you're all friends again. And that's the great thing, after the show's done airing on Tuesday, everybody calls each other or texts each other here and there and says, oh, man, you got me there, or you really stuck me on that one. So, yeah, it's fun for us even on our side.
Well, that's great. I got a question. So when somebody's eliminated and they have to leave, do they like, is it like get in a van and go to the airport, or like do they actually get to say goodbyes on the other end off air?
Oh, no. There's a couple of real things on the show. That clock is real. That 3 hours and 6 hours of tattoo, that's all to the second reel. The drawing times are real. The canvases, when you first meet them, when they come out, that's real. You've never, ever seen those people before. And when you're eliminated, that's real. When they tell you to walk off, that you're not good enough to be ink master, and you walk away from that set right there, none of us see those people ever again. Somehow they get them up there, they get their suitcases packed, and off they go to the van, and you never see them again. That's real.
Wow. So when they give you a certain amount of time to do the tattoo, like what's that pressure like? Because at your own shop, you could probably tack on a few minutes here and there if you don't have too many clients booked. But showtime, production time, they need that to the second. What's that pressure like? Oh,
it's much more than people even understand or can even fathom from the filming. It's ungodly, to be honest with you. That pressure is so high, and it's established that way. Spike is the mastermind at setting up the most stressful environments to make it just be a crazy show. Everybody snaps at one point or another. There's no way around it. So, for instance, like the drawing time, you meet that canvas, the clock starts, you got 3 hours, and you walk over, you say hello, you bring them to your room. You got about 20 minutes to talk about the tattoo you're going to do and get an idea of where their body's going to work and all that. And then they take them away. And then now you got about 2 hours to actually draw. And during that 2 hours, off camera, your lunch comes in, you got to go to the bathroom, all that. That's all occurring during this crazy drawing time. And then 20 minutes before the tattoo time starts, those canvases just magically reappear. We don't even know where they go. They just disappear. And then they come back, and then if you're lucky, they like your drawing that you were able to get done during that lunchtime / bathroom time / drawing time, and then you can tattoo. But on many, many occasions, that stress gets there. Like you saw Marissa just start crying and lose her mind. She just didn't even have a drawing ready, and that canvas was already back and ready to be tattooed. So that stress on that right there is huge. Which is very indicative on why a lot of these great tattoo artists they can't get their stuff together, because it's not like back in the shop, like you said. You know, you don't have all day long to draw a nice drawing. You're under pressure.
Gotcha. Now, what would happen? Do they have a protocol for what would happen if the tattoo isn't completed?
Oh yeah, okay. So there's another real thing. When the tattoo's not finished, or they tap out or anything like that, and they leave, that's real. Again, they're gone. You don't ever see those canvases again once they walk out of that studio part of the show. You don't get to go back and fix it. You don't get to go back and finish it. You don't get to see them at all ever again.
That's crazy.
Wow. So they're just stuck with it.
They're literally stuck with it. And honestly, you know, they have that new series coming out called Redemption, which I think starts next month. That is exactly geared because of I don't even know, hundreds or dozens or whatever of canvases that have been on the show and got an unfinished piece or a messed up piece, and they're pissed off, and they want Spike to fix it. And so they're making the show Redemption. These are all people that get to go back and get something done right.
That's genius. They built in a sequel to their own show.
Right, exactly. That's what I said. They're masterminds of this whole drama thing, you know? Not only do they get somebody to mess up a tattoo that looks great on TV, but then we're going to do it again and put those same people in there and see if we can do it again.
That's awesome.
Did you apply for the show? All right, motorcycle.
Right. So everybody's a little bit different. Some people were sought after. They went after them and asked them to come on the show. Some people were just by proxy, depending on who the master was or the apprentice was. I actually was on for season 2 back then, and then I had some things come up that just withdrew myself from the from the running or whatever you call it. And then on season 3, I wasn't finished with my personal business. So I was called and then just told them immediately I couldn't do it. So I was scratched. That was the end of that. On this season, Tyler was the one they were after. You know, he's a young, pretty kid. They had contacted him and asked him, who would your master be? And he said, of course, Chris Blinston. You know, he said me. And the producers have been around since day one. And they said, oh, we remember that guy. That would be a good fit. So that's how I got pulled. So I actually wasn't even the target. It was Tyler. But it's working out good for me. So
that's good. It's your time, man.
Exactly.
So how did your family react when you were like, hey, I got to go? I don't even know where the hell they film. Like, they seem all over. Are they in LA or are they in New York?
This is in New York, or actually, the studio itself is in Newark, in the Ironbound district, which is kind of a run down part of town. And it's a giant warehouse, and you film in there, you live in there, you're pretty much in prison. You're locked down. You don't get to go out anywhere. It's not like a Real World or something like that where you get to go out to the bars and hang out with everybody. You never leave. They take away your personal credentials, your wallet, your credit cards, and your cell phone, and then you get your cell phone back on occasion, depending on how the day goes and the amount of time that's left at the end of the day. And there's no TVs, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no radio, there's nothing like that. It's just people in a warehouse. And then, yeah, it's crazy. And that's part of that stressful environment, you know. People just start going bonkers from being cooped up like that.
Yeah, as I say, that's just stress on stress with stressful situations inside of stressful situations.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just kind of the way they work that over there. And so as far as my family was concerned, you know, the whole process is a pretty long one. It started way back in October. You get the first couple phone calls, you do some Skyping. They want to know what you look like. You send your portfolios in. And then it goes into a harder process. They go into actual background checks, both local and federal. You go and do a couple of psych evals. I mean, it's a pretty strenuous thing. And I would imagine that if they start out with, say, 50 teams, I would imagine a lot of them get knocked off pretty quick. You know, we are in the tattoo business, let's be honest. There's not a lot of saints in our business, you know, probably a lot more sinners, if that makes sense. But as far as family was concerned, my girlfriend and the kids have all been super supportive. I think the hardest moment for us was, and you'll like this game, they do this to everybody. They give you a call 48 hours before you're supposed to go, but you don't know when you're supposed to go. There's no date given to you. So we find this out later. You get a phone call that says, we're sorry, you didn't make the cut, you're out. So the next morning you wake up and you're kind of bummed out, maybe even a little pissed off. And you call your people and say, hey, it didn't happen. We didn't get it, blah, blah. And then a couple hours later, they call you back and say, no, we're just kidding. You're leaving tomorrow if you're coming. And they do that to everybody. It's a total, again, it's a mind game again. So everybody gets that call. And so it's about 11 o'clock at night when you get that call, and you're leaving the next day. So even though you kind of prepared yourself, all of a sudden, that's real now. It's really real.
Right.
My girlfriend we were sitting outside, and I remember having a conversation with her and saying, well, there it is. Are we going or am I not going? And so I made a couple phone calls with some other friends and some other family members, and it was a resounding yes. Go do it. So you go upstairs and you pack your bag till about 2 a.m, and the next day you leave. And the best parts of the show, honestly, is the times that you're so busy that you don't have time to think about home helps you a ton, because if you had time to think about it all the time, you'd want to go home. Right. It's just that stressful.
Wow.
Gotcha. And wow. So what do you do with your books? What do you do with your clients?
Oh man. Well, because it's such a long process getting ready to do the show, you start kind of emptying out your appointment book. You try to plan for that magical time frame that they might call you and say you're going. I was lucky enough to get my books down. I was out about 4 months before I got the call, and by the time I left for the show, I was down to about a week of people that I had to call and say, hey, I'm sorry, it's going to be a few more months. So I got really lucky with that. It doesn't happen to everybody, though. Some people just kind of slack off and don't get their books cleared, and they'll lose those clients. A lot of people won't wait, an undetermined amount of time to come back. But my clients down here in Florida are fantastic. I think I might have lost one person out of hundreds of people, and every single one of those 99 or whatever it was came right back when I came back from the show. So very blessed to have a great clientele here in Florida.
Well, that's great, man. Well, we're excited watching you. We're definitely going to be rooting for you even more now because you've been on our shitty little podcast. But
that's awesome.
But we're totally glad you came on. Is there anything you want to plug right now? I know you got a website, Twitter. What do you want to sell, man? Sell us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Hey, all you guys out there are listening, try to have me a follow on Facebook. That's Chris Blinston Tattoo, or Instagram, Chris Blinston Tattoo, or Twitter, Chris Blinston. And, just keep up with the show. Watch every episode and keep rooting me on all the way to the end.
We definitely will. Thanks for coming on the show, Chris.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. So I'm recording again.
We forgot to mention the overalls thing. Brian, you used to wear overalls as part of our show.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're brethren, man. I will buy a pair of Chris Blinston overalls.
Oh, we'll do a straight up. We'll do a photo shoot wearing them. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I hope it goes through, man. I'm so excited. Back in the 90s, I wore those overalls all the time. It was a daily thing. And they just kind of went out of style, and I put them away in a box, and that was the end of that. But, yeah, I don't even know why I threw them in that suitcase that night, but it was just like a whim. Hey, we'll throw them in there. And it's kind of been, like I said, a bittersweet thing because it's funny, but everywhere I go, people want to know why I'm not in the overalls. It's almost like if I come out with this Chris Blinston overalls, I'm going to have to wear them every day again. So,
and that's so funny because probably just like a lot of other people, like when we were watching, I was like, how many pairs of overalls does that guy own?
One.
And then
Exactly. When I left the show at the end of all the time that I make it, I ended up with 4 total pairs. So that was, it was like an exciting time to go home and say, I've got 4 pair now, honey, 4.
Awesome. Well, what we want to ask you real quick is what we ask everybody. What's your favorite frozen pizza?
I'm sorry, favorite what?
favorite. Favorite frozen pizza.
My favorite frozen pizza. Oh, I'd have to say DiGiorno on that. That's my only favorite frozen pizza.
That is a first.
It. Well, Yeah. A lot of people say Trader Joe's. I'm a Tony's guy myself. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think one of the best ones is the Walmart ones, but they're not really frozen. So.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, the ones that
cool.
they're like a cooker. They're like a cook yourself kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's great.
I live in Chicago now, so like there's like one Walmart in the city, and I went there, and it was like a war zone. So I haven't been to Chicago or a Walmart in years, so I can't even remember really what it's like. But the Walmart here in the city, it was literally like the stuff strewn everywhere, employees running around like crazy trying to restock the shelves, and they would leave like the big pallet jacks full of like Walmart brand tennis shoes and shit all over the place. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. But if I ever make it there, I'll be sure to pick up one of the Walmart cook yourself pizzas.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna let you go for real this time, Chris. Thank you so much again, dude. It's been absolutely awesome, and we're rooting for you.
All right, thank you guys very, very much, man.
Thanks a lot,
for having
Chris.
me on the show.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks. Have a great one, Chris.
Be sure to follow Nothing Important online at nothingimportantpodcast.com. Find us on iTunes, on Twitter at NotImportantPC, and you can also find us on Facebook. Nothing Important is recorded with help from Third City Sound in Joliet, Illinois. Thanks for being awesome.